Chapter 24. The storm continued to scourge the great city. In fact, the snow was falling more rapidly now. Even in good weather, the streets of Lower Manhattan around the municipal building and City Hall were practically deserted in the evening. Tonight, only a few taxis floated by like ghosts, carrying home late workers from Wall Street offices. There were no pedestrians at all. That was good, the watchers thought. They didn't want anyone to see what they were about to do. There were 8 sedans near the rear entrance of the modern brick building at 150 Park Row. 6 were lined up in the back alley. The others flanked the alley's exit onto Pearl Street. All 8 had their headlights out, their motors running. The exhaust fumes swirled in odd stunted curves as the icy gusts caught them, but the men standing beside the cars didn't notice it. With eyes as cold as the night, they were waiting and watching. Some looked north up Pearl. Half a dozen peered south. The drivers in the alley stared at the door to 150 Park Row. No one spoke. The only sounds were the wind and the rumble of automatic engines. The men standing near the cars were armed and angry. Each had a .38 caliber pistol in a shoulder holster, and 7 carried submachine guns. They were FBI agents. Their grim faces showed concern and bitterness. They didn't want to be here. They didn't want to do this. The building at 150 Park Row housed the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the New York City facility at the Bureau of Prisons of the goddamn Department of Justice. The Department of Justice of the United States of America, not some puny banana republic or one of those weak sister governments in Europe. A major unit of the U.S. Department of Justice itself, the FBI was supposed to put criminals into jails like the Metropolitan Correctional Center, not let them out. This thing tonight was disgraceful. Every agent in the street and in the cars knew it. Sooner or later, somewhere, somehow, the terrorists who were forcing them to do this would pay. No one and no organization could humiliate the Bureau. No matter what or how long it took, the bastards would be identified and hunted down. It was more than a question of proper law enforcement. It was a matter of professional pride. And male dignity too, more than a little. The rear door to the jail opened. 2 more special agents stepped out, submachine guns at the ready. After they scanned the alley for several seconds, they gestured towards someone inside the doorway. Now 4 men, all in handcuffs, walked out into the snowstorm. Carlos Arroza, Ibrahim Farzi, Arnold Lloyd, Julio Sanchez. Another 5 FBI men hurried out behind them. While several of the agents who had been watching raised their eyes and weapons to cover nearby roofs, others opened the curbside rear doors of 4 of the sedans. The handcuffed prisoners shuddered under the impact of the snow and cold wind. "Get in! Get in!" an impatient FBI inspector ordered. Federal agents swiftly separated the prisoners, guided them to the automobiles, and nudged help them inside. Then the FBI operatives took their assigned places in the cars. It had all been planned in detail. 4 sedans would each carry 3 agents and 1 of the handcuffed men. The other vehicles would ride shotgun, 2 in front and a pair behind. The inspector scanned the alley and walked to Pearl Street. He looked north and south for several seconds before he nodded. "Seems okay," he said. "It's wrong," the tall agent beside him disagreed harshly. The inspector understood what he meant. "The order came down from the White House," he reminded. "It's wrong, and you know it's wrong." The inspector shrugged. I didn't hear that, Tom, he replied and pointed at the first sedan. The angry operative got into the back as the inspector slid in beside the driver. Then the convoy commander picked up the radio. "Communications check," he said into the instrument. Each of the sedans reported in curtly. "Good. Drive carefully and stay alert. Let's roll." The drivers turned on their headlights. A few moments later, they put their cars in gear and started out for John F. Kennedy International Airport. Other men were also preparing to go there. They weren't enthusiastic about the idea either. They weren't starting from Manhattan. They were 14 miles on the far side of Kennedy at the Coast Guard Air Base at Floyd Bennett Field. Trudging through the slashing storm, they approached the twin-rotor H-65 helicopter. "And in this weather?" Ensign Vincent Babbitt asked. "With all those damn jets tearing around up there blind as bats? Do you really think this is a good idea?" "It's a terrible idea," Lieutenant Ernesto Saldana replied. "You got a better one?" Babbitt shook his head. "I'm not scared, you know," he declared loudly. "Well, I am, Vince. Anyone with half a brain would be. Now get in the chopper." They climbed up into the search and rescue helicopter, brushed the snow from their faces, and saw that the aviation survivalman, Luther King, was already at his post beside the hoisting gear. When Saldana flashed him a thumbs-up greeting, King nodded and returned it silently. Then the two pilots made their way to the seats up front. "Ah, shit," Babbitt said gloomily as he began to buckle his harness. "Cheer up, Vince," Saldana urged. "We're going to be heroes." "There was a fuel line problem with this bird last week," the uneasy junior officer replied. "Christ, I hope they fixed it." "Here's when we find out," Saldana answered. They went through the pre-flight routine carefully, but more quickly than usual. This was a major and acute emergency. When they'd run down the checklist, the senior pilot started the engines. The rotors began to move slowly, cutting swathes through the tumbling snow like giant scimitars. The roar of the jet engines grew louder. They could feel the surge of power. Now the big blades were whirling faster. The Aerospatiale H-65 was a strong and sturdy machine that could handle bad weather. Everything was all right. "Here we go, Vince," Saldana said. Suddenly, there was a spluttering, coughing sound. Then both engines died.